Hi, and welcome to another QwikTouchPro video. In this video we're going to be using QwikTouchPro with an electronic scale. And to start this video off, I've got just kind of a basic template I've created to give us something to work with. And everything in this template's been covered in previous videos, so we're just going to be working with the scale here. And the first thing we need to do is set up a data source that tells QwikTouchPro how to communicate with our digital scale. And we do that on the Data tab, Data Sources group, and we're going to choose New, which is create a new data source. Come down here and we're going to change the type from SQL Server to electronic scale. And when we do that, we see we need to provide all the options for our digital scale. And these are the same settings you would put into keystroke. So if you've got your scale configured in keystroke, you can put those same settings here. If not, it'll be in your scale documentation, of course. And I'm working with a CAS PD1 serial scale on COM1. So I'm going to change my port to COM1. And again, that's the scale I have sitting next to me for this demo here. Baud rate 9600, parities even. Data bits for this scale is 7. Again, got that from my scale documentation. Request codes, this is the code that we send to the scale to request the weight, which in this case is 87, which is a character for W, and 13, which is a return. The scale sends us back the weight, and it adds LB enter at the end of it, so that's 76 for L, 66 for B, 13 for enter. So again, that's from my scale documentation. That's my codes to request the weight and the response that the scale sends back to me. The multiplier, this scale I've got here reports its weight in pounds, which is what I want, but if you wanted to display, if you wanted QwikTouchPro to convert your weight from pounds to ounces or grams or kilograms or something like that, you could enter the multiplier here. Next option we have is auto update, which is automatically pull the scale for its weight. And what that means is that QwikTouchPro is just going to continuously be sending this W enter, this 8713 out to the scale to request its weight. And we do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're going to be displaying the weight here on this label, and we want it to display in real time, so we'll always know what the weight on the scale is. And it also allows us to fire macros. Like, for example, if we add an item to the scale, QwikTouchPro can be aware of that and kick off a macro if you remove an item from the scale. So we're going to leave auto update checked, and we're going to choose create. And the first thing when we go to create our data source, QwikTouchPro wants us to give it a name, and I recommend just a name that makes it easy to identify when you see the file. So we'll do scale on COM1 for this video, and choose save. Add this data source to the active template. We'll say no. So we've got our data source created to talk to our scale. So the next thing we're going to do is display the weight up here in this white box. And to do that, we're just going to grab a text control, and I'm going to use plain text. I'm going to drag it up here where I want the weight to go and size it where I want it to be. And again, we want this text to show us the real-time weight from the scale. And we do that also under the Data tab, under the Data Bindings group, and we're going to bind the text of this text control to the weight from our scale. So our data source is going to be our scale, but of course we don't have any data sources on our template yet. We have to browse out to it. So we're going to browse for data source. We're going to choose scale on COM1, which is again obviously that data source we just created a few minutes ago. Choose open. And when we do that, our data path drop-down box here is going to fill in with all our options for the scale. And the only thing we can choose here is the weight, which is fine. That's what we're looking for. And now with our label here selected, or our text control selected, we'll just hit apply. And you can see down here now on our properties window, we can see that it's data bound to the weight on scale on COM1 essentially. And let's just look at what that means. That means when we preview our template here, you can see our scale says 0. And if we were to add an item to our scale, just set it on there, you can see the weight updates with the scale to 1.05 pounds in this case. And you can see actually as I wiggle my scale, my weight fluctuates a little bit. I'm not on a very sturdy surface. So you can see that the weight's definitely updating in real time with the scale. If we remove that item, put a different item on, etc. So we bound this text here to the weight from the scale. The next thing I want to do is notice if we remove the weight from the scale, it goes to 0. And I'd rather have that display like my scale does here, which would be 0.00 instead of 0. Maybe also put the letters LB at the end of it so we know that we're looking at pounds. So let's go back into the editor and do that. And we're going to do that through string formatting. And there's a blog post on string formatting for more information, but we're just going to, with the weight label selected again, come under the string format box under the Data tab, Data Binding group. And we'll do open curly bracket 0, and this first 0 is just kind of a token that represents the weight. And then we'll do a colon. We want to convert that to 0.00. And again, there's a blog post on string formatting, so we're not going to waste a lot of time here. But that's just going to give us essentially a number of 2 decimal points for the weight. Then we want to see the letters LB at the end. So we'll hit apply again with our weight label selected here, and you can see now we've got the weight from scale on COM1, and it's got a data format, which is just going to format the way the text looks. And the next thing I want to do is size this text a little better. And to do that, this label is not going to be displaying the word weight when we're using it. It's going to actually have a weight in it. So we're going to go to the Home tab and just put some text in there so we know how big we can make this label. So maybe 99.99 lb is the most, I'm never going to see a weight on here more than 100 pounds. So this just tells me how big my label's likely to get. And we can now increase our text size a little bit. And we'll preview our template again. And you can see now with no item on the scale, we have 0.00 lb. And if we add an item to the scale, again, it just kind of updates with a new weight with the lb at the end. And that is going to conclude this video. Thanks for watching.